morning to everyone. Myself Gautam of class 9 from JNV Srikakulam. He is my friend. Just introduce himself. My name is Mahendra. Okay. Today let us go into our topic. As a part of improvement in food resources, today we will discuss about the crop protection management. Generally, we cultivate the crops in our fields. Those crops are infected by a large number of weeds and pests. So, due to these weeds and pests, if we cannot control these weeds and pests in our cultivated field, these weeds and pests can damage the crops. So, due to the damages of these weeds and pests to the crops, we may lose so much of crop. Then, what are weeds? How can these damage the crops? We will see now. Can anyone answer me? What are weeds? Yes. Weeds are the undesirable plants that are grown along with the crops in our cultivated field. Weeds are undesirable plants that are grown along with the crops. Here, undesirable means unwanted. The unwanted plants that are grown along with the crops. So, due to these weeds can damage the crops. So, the damages of these weeds, we lost so much of crop. Then, for example, we will discuss about some weeds. See, Jathium and Parathium. These are the weeds we can see in our surroundings most commonly. So, this is one type of weeds which can grow in the cultivated fields. So, these type of weeds can grow in the cultivated field, and these can competitively grow with the crops. These weeds can competitively grow with the crops, and these can take up the nutrients which are available in the soil. These weeds can take up the nutrients and reduce the crop growth. How can these reduce the crop growth? These weeds can take up the nutrients which are available in the soil. So, due to the lack of the nutrients in the soil to the crops, these crops can automatically reduce their growth. So in this way, these weeds can reduce the crop growth. If we can remove these weeds from the cultivated field, then it is essential to the good harvest. If we can control these weeds, it leads to the good harvest. Why? Because if there is a weeds in our cultivated field, then these weeds can take up the nutrients and damage to the crops. If there is no weeds in the cultivated field, then the crops will never suffered from these weeds, and it will essential to lead to good harvest. Then, due to the weeds, so much crop we lost. Then how can we control these weeds? So firstly we have to know about the weeding. What is weeding? Can anyone? Yes. The process of removing weeds from our field is known as the weeding. Then generally, weeding is divided into two types. We will discuss about those types. Okay. The first one is manual weeding and the other one is spray weeding. So first we will discuss about the manual weeding. What is manual weeding? The removing of weeds from our cultivated field with our hands, means the uprooting of weeds from our cultivated field by our hands. In this manual weeding, we have to use some tools, mechanical tools also. What are they? First one, seed driller. So by using the seed driller, we can we can uproot these weeds from our cultivated fields. Then the second one is sickle. By using the sickle, we can cut the weeds near to the ground from time to time. Why? Because while cutting the weeds by helping with the sickle, these can grow as early as possible near to the less much of time taken. So due to this, while we using the sickle, we can cut those weeds near to the ground. It takes so much time to grow. So but in the manual weeding, we use the seed driller and sickle. Then another type is spray weeding. What is spray weeding? What is spray weeding? The weeds we can resist by spraying some weedicides. What are weedicides? The weedicides which helps us to reduce or resist these weeds from our cultivated field. So the best weedicide is the 2,4-D. 2,4-D. The 2,4-D, explain 2,4-D dichlorophenoxyacetic acid. This chemical is the best for to resist the weeds in our cultivated field. So by using the 2,4-D, we can also resist these weeds in our cultivated field. By these 2,4-D acetic acid dissolved in a water, by using a spraying machine, we can spray these weedicide to our cultivated field. So due to this helping of the 2,4-D, 2,4-dichlorophenolic acid, these can resist those weeds for their growth. So by using the spray weeding also, we can resist the weeds in our cultivated field. So the plants are not only suffered from the weeds. These plants means the crops which are grown in our cultivated field also suffered from the pests. What are pests? Can anyone? Okay. Pests are the insects. So pests are the insects that can attack the crops by the three ways. So pests can attack by the three ways to the crops. Now we will discuss about what are those three ways. Now the first one. First one, they can cut the plant stem and leaves. When we are observing some plants, those plants leaves have some holes. So why? Because those holes are occurred means these pests can attack the plant. So due to this first way, they can cut the plant stem and leaves. So those holes are occurred due to these pests. Then second one. Yes, they can suck the swamp from the flowers and various parts of plant. Means the butterflies, for example, the butterflies can suck the nectar from the flowers. In those way, these pests can also suck the swamp from the flowers and the other parts of the plants. So due to this, the plants can lose some nutrients due to these suck the swamp. So by this, these plants can damaged. So suffered from some diseases like occurred due to the pathogens. Then the third way is they can bore a holes and get into it. So while we are observing some vegetables, those vegetable surfaces have some tiny holes. Those bored holes are caused by the pests. These pests can bore a hole and get into in it. While we are observing those vegetables, on the bored hole part will be damaged. So due to these pests, those holes are caused and damage the production of the crop. Then how can we resist these pests? these pests we can resist by using the pesticides. Now, what are these pesticides? Pesticides is the combination of herbicides, insecticides, and weedicides. By using these pesticides by the spray method, we can spray these pesticides to the crops. Then these pesticides can resist these pests from our cultivated field. So these pesticides can resist to the crops because of it is the combination of herbicides, insecticides, and weedicides. Due to the weedicides, we already discussed weeds can be reduced by using the insecticides. The insects which are occurred to the crops, those can be resisted. By using these herbicides, some herbs like occurs to the cultivated field in a crop. So by using this one, we can resist the herbicides also. Then the next part of the crop production management, after the protecting from the weeds our crops, what are the next agricultural practice will be discussed by my friend Mahendra.
Storage of produce is an important task after harvesting grains. If grains are to be kept for longer time, they may get spoiled by moisture. By rats, by insects, and by microorganisms. So before storing them, we should dry them in sunlight. To keep safe from these moisture, rats, insects, and microorganisms. Farmers store the stored grains in jute bags and metallic bins, however the large scale storage grains will be stored in silos and granaries. Large scale of harvested grains will be stored in silos and granaries. So this topic is completed.
Okay, now only we discussed about the crop production management. So how can we control the pests and what are pests, then what are weeds and their control and the storage of grains. So is there any doubt regarding to this? You have to ask. Is there any doubts?
What is summer cropping?
Okay. The raised question is, what is summer ploughing? While the tilling of soil in the summer deeply into the ground. So the tilling of the soil deeply into the ground, which helps us to uprooting of the weeds which are present in our cultivated field. So due to the summer ploughing pattern, we can resist these weeds from our cultivated field. I think your doubt is clear. Okay. Okay. One more thing is, after the manual weeding of the weeds, these plants can be uprooted. So these plants can be uprooted and diverged into this position. Okay. Is there any doubts? Okay. Thank you.